These are from the library, for sure. Excellent. That's perfect. But you're doing a lot of walking. We were friends in Bethnal.
Yeah, Andy was telling me. He was telling me. Andy, do you want to take a quick picture?
You know the boxing pics you gave me, the black and whites?
Yeah.
I've got them framed. I need my coaching coach for them. The whole picture.
I've got something. I've got a really quick angles.
We did you a chance. Okay, brilliant.
Smile like.
He's a genius.
And it
Not really.
It's not exciting things. Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
The other boxes.
Right in the corner. Okay. Can
Salam alaikum. I never get a salam back from him. Giving you a salam.
Well, you know where he gets his looks from now.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to start at 7, we started a bit later. Can you be careful with the camera? I'd be grateful if you didn't hit it. I wanted to thank all of you that have come out. It's appreciated. We have, in these kind of events, we don't have a lot of time to prepare. These kind of events, this is a bit of a rushed one. And the reason is because I asked if we can hold this event in the school, and they said, unfortunately, you can't, and we couldn't have it at another school. And we were basically let down by the schools who said we can't allow you to come here for whatever reasons. They had other events. But I'm grateful to the WECH community team for allowing democracy to carry on and work properly and allowing us to have this event here. We've hired the property for the event, and we're grateful to them for setting up everything for us and allowing us to do what we've got to do. So, without too much further, I'd like to introduce you a few people who are part of my team and part of the Workers' Party team in London and nationally. So, to my left is Nijam, who is my deputy in all I do. I'm the national election coordinator for the party. It's my job, it's what I do. And Nijam is my second in everything I do, and he has been quite instructive in the amount of work we were able to complete over the elections. So I just want to introduce him. He's going to be doing a little speech in a minute for us. And to my right is the Assistant Deputy Secretary for London, Ehsan Ullah. Ehsan has been voted in only a little while ago, and he has helped with every day that I've been out here when I've needed extra bodies. He's been here. I've got also a couple of my other candidates. So I've got the Barnier who's sitting there, who is the posh lady from Crawley. We love her to bits, but she's so lovely. So Linda's going to be coming up here and bring us a little breakdown of what's happening in Crawley and her by-election over there. So to start off with, I'm going to ask Ehsan if he can to do a quick brief of where we are as a party in London and how he thinks we're doing. And then we'll go to Nijam, and then I shall give a quick speech myself. But I know you're all here for one reason and one reason only, to see George Galloway give us a speech. And George has got an important speech to make about where we're going as the party. And I'd invite you all to listen to it, because we really are going to have to be the alternative to this Labour Party. This Labour Party has broken everyone's heart for the last 5 to 10 years, and it's just not going in the right direction. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Ehsan to take over and give us a brief rundown of what he thinks that London and the Workers' Party are able to do, and any other points he'd like to make, and about communication. You'd like the volume up. Okay, can the people in the back hear me properly?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Jack?
Actually, no, because I knew back there was somebody who said they couldn't hear.
Right, I'll turn the volume up. and I'll get Esar to shout.
You probably might not need the mic with you.
We won't need a microphone.
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you, Hoz, Brother Hoz, for allowing me to speak to this audience today. As he rightly said, I am serving in the capacity of the Deputy General Secretary for London. A few things that I wish to share, and I shall try to take as much as I possibly can from this abbreviated time. A lot of people have asked this question about the Workers' Party written. Clearly, when I go out there and canvassing, when I was canvassing during my MP candidacy for Croydon West a few months ago, I would say I'm for the Workers' Party, George Galloway's party. That was the first thing that they would resonate and say, oh, George Galloway's party. That would open up a conversation. But I've seen an evolution from that notion. People now genuinely are recognizing the need for an alternative party. Because generally speaking, if you ask your heart, you say to yourself, well, what were the options that were available to us during the general election? You had the Labour Party, you had the Conservative Party, and along came Nigel Farage, who was absolutely backed up by the media. Even my neighbour's 12-year-old dog would have got more votes if he had had that much support. But that's something else. The fact of the matter is that people are beginning to recognise that there's a void. 9 million people voted for the Labour Party a couple of months ago. And what's happened since those 2 months, it makes my heart, my stomach wrench. I'm sure I'm speaking for the majority of us. What Keir Starmer has done, I won't call him sir, he's a blemish to the barristers. They call him Casey. I don't think he is. He doesn't know a thing about human rights. But the point here, which I'll come back to the Harrow Road Ward, is it's an absolute pleasure for me to stand behind Brother Hoz Shafiei, who I look up as an older brother, because I know that governance starts, yes, from the head downwards, but also in another way, it starts from the grassroots. So I would like to request everybody here that's here in flesh, blood and bone, as well as the digital realm, that here is our opportunity to genuinely come out there and give a new party a chance and test them. I know for a fact, I know Brother Hoz personally, there's people that actually come up to him for counsel in a private capacity. And he would be an amazing, amazing candidate when it comes to helping the people of the local vicinity. And if there is something that he doesn't have an answer for immediately, he's the kind of person who would go back and get the answer for us. I'd like to thank you for coming here. And I would also thank you to please have a think about this and do your bit, your contribution. You might think it's small, for us it's huge. And let's vote this great man into office. And this is going to be a start of something amazing.
Bravo. Bravo.
Thank you very much, Esar. I wanted to, actually, I've just seen Aaron Maffey here, and Aaron has been talking on behalf of the party on social media for the last two months since the elections ended, and he's just shown up here. But I really want you to, I'd like you, if you can, just give us 2 minutes, and I mean only 2 minutes, not more, and he will come there. Aaron, I need you to basically tell people about Labour and housing and the issues that you have been talking about, because they're really important things that people need to know. Stand up. Aaron Maffey was my candidate for Wimbledon, and he's basically someone who had it up against the Liberal Democrats, the biggest, they were on the same, we couldn't really fight them properly. But Aaron is a fantastic candidate. The messaging you're giving out is so important, and I think everyone in this room needs to hear what you have to say about that subject. It's okay, it's done.
Thank you. So yeah, as Hoz said, I've stood in Wimbledon, and during that time, I got to meet so many different people and see so many things that were happening within the area. And Wimbledon's quite an affluent area, so you wouldn't expect to hear what was happening. But when you sort of look at it and unpeel it, it's not just in Wimbledon, it's happening everywhere. Now, obviously, nationally, we can all see what Labour's been up to. We can all see what the Lib Dems and Tories have been up to, what they've backed over the last 14 years, all the austerity and all the cuts and the reforms that have literally broken our systems. And if you look at the people behind these reforms that have actually done this to our country, they're rewarded. They're literally made barons. They're put into the House of Lords. They're treated like royalty. The Darcy report this week, it was Andrew Lansley. He was the one that made reforms that brought our NHS to, in 2010, it was at its peak, one of the best healthcare services in the world. 14 years later, they've done a report and it's literally flatlining. Any other country would hold, well, any not Western country would hold these people accountable. They have no accountability here. So what happens? They do it again. And they do it again because they know they can get away with it. And so that's nationally. And if we look locally, they're literally, Lib Dems and Labour, they're taking the housing. When they say, oh, we're building 1.5 million social housing, first of all, they're not. Back in the 40s, they built social housing. They built 2 million houses and they gave it to the people, council houses. People had rights. People had big houses that were designed for families. Now, they're taking them away. They're saying, oh, you're getting a nice new flat, don't worry. They move you away into a bed and breakfast for a couple of years, and then they give you a really small flat. Why? Because they double the size, they double the amount of them, and they sell them on for profit. They're literally giving these lands to companies like Clarion, who you hear constantly in the news for cheating and breaking rules, and they give it to them. And they're going to do it to all of them, especially in areas like this where property is worth so much. They'll see these estates, they'll go in there and they'll say, oh, it's not fit for purpose anymore. They'll tape it up, they'll knock it down, they'll build double the amount, and the people that have council housing won't get council housing anymore. They get what's called social rent. They don't have the same rights. At the moment in the council house, if you fall on hard times, you can still stay there. Social rent, you've got 2 months to pay your bills and you're out. If you're out, you've intentionally made yourself homeless, so the council will not even help you get anywhere else. You lose all your support that you get. So it's something to keep in mind because this is what they're doing up and down the country. And the more Labour and Lib Dem councillors there are sitting in these seats, the more votes they're going to get to go ahead and do it. And there's only one way to stop that, and that is to vote for people like Hoz that are standing up for the workers. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you very much, Aaron. And that was an important message that Aaron has been investigating, looking into, and has been reporting to pretty much all the social media platforms, and I've been supporting his news. And I thought it's important that all of us who live in this area, who do rely heavily on council housing, understand the consequences of getting moved out of your council house and being promised something new, because that ain't going to be what you had before. That is an absolute promise. Okay? So I'm going to now pass the microphone on to my brother Nijam, who is, as I said, my deputy, and let him speak to you for a few minutes. And then I'm going to be asking Miss Linda Barnier to come up. And I've got one of my other candidates that I've just seen in the back as well, Steph, who's going to be coming up here to speak as well about, and he's been on the streets with me every single day. And I'm sure all of you have seen him at Mailer Hill. He's become a statue there for us as a Workers' Party. Absolutely brilliant young man. Right, Nijam, please take over, buddy.
Thank you, Hoz. Thank you. Good evening, Harrow Road.
Good evening.
How are we doing? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Fine, good. I can see the voice is a bit lower. Yeah? Everybody all right? Yeah?
Yeah!
Well, thank you for the effort, but I know that nobody is 100% okay. Thanks to the government. Isn't that wonderful, eh? Gift, straight away they come into the power. What do? The utility goes high. Yeah? The next thing what they do? The senior citizens, they get punishment. The winter fuel card. I went to the local doctor the other day, and all the doctors, they worry how they're going to cope on this winter. Every year, we get in extreme winter now because of these, the problem we have with the environment at the moment, global warming. So it's a worrying matter, but they're not bothered about that, so forget about that. Anyway, coming back to Harrow Road, I used to live here around 1992, Harrow Road. I spent my childhood here. Yeah, and then last weekend, I came after all these years. And what I see, there is nothing different. Still same Harrow Road as I left in 1992. Yeah, and I know why. Labour, they like to keep it like this. Yeah, you want to be the poor and needy, so you vote for them, thinking they're gonna give you some ground, this and that, and all these promises they do every year, and we believe in them. But it's our, it's our time. We get in punishment now. So here, I spent the whole weekend. You didn't see even one single policeman walking on the road. If you see sometimes flashing light going, then it's not their business. It's just they're doing the road, walk or whatever it is, and that's it. So recently, an innocent life lost here. It wasn't their fault. Someone lost their life because of the knife crime. Yeah, but I didn't see anything from our local government. Recently, I came in this center here on Friday to pray, and I see the MP, the current MP, didn't have any decency to come here. Send the Labour Party's candidate to come with the former MP. Because she doesn't have time for us. She doesn't need us anymore for the next 4 years. And neither of these councillors you see in the Labour's councillor, they won't see you for 4 years, for another 4 years, as soon they're done with their election. So anyway, we know and we learn it hard way, and this is our turn now. This is our turn. On 19th, we're gonna get somebody who cares for us, someone who is part of us, who understands us, who have solution for us. And this is nobody else rather than Hoz himself. My brother Hoz is there. I know he's capable. He's running a party, a national party. He is the national campaign coordinator for the whole United Kingdom. He's a very experienced person. He's handled, last election, he handled 154 MPs for whole country. And he had a plan for that. Unfortunately, it did work for us in a way because we are getting stronger and stronger, and we're going to come back. But with your support, this time with him on 19, we're going to show everybody that we got somebody in the council who understands us, who speak our language, who feel our feelings. And I know that he will sort things out. The crime record here is high. Not only the Harrow Road, the whole Westminster is #1 in UK for knife crime, if you look at the national statistic. And it's not new. It's always been like that. Hoz Shafiei, just around the corner, Hoz Shafiei. It's the most dangerous. You say Hoz Shafiei, everybody knows. You say Liverpool, everybody knows. But here in London, a place like this, neglected, hard to believe. And we can't just leave it like that. We have to do something. So it's our turn. Now, on 19, we get somebody in the council who will communicate with us, who will understand, who will have time. And he's not shy to see us. He's always available for us. He will sort it out. So let us all work together. And on 19th, we get our men in the council. Yeah, we can do that? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. I have just noticed someone in this room, and his name is Irakli. Irakli was the candidate for Queen's Park and Maida Vale. He stood for becoming a member of Parliament for this area. I was wondering, would you mind coming up here, Irakli? And so this is our candidate for the Workers' Party, and I'd like you to say a few words for us. Come on, please.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I ran under a very strong leadership of these men and women to fight for the MP nomination of Queen's Park Maida Vale. I ran because this is the only party, the main party in this country that stands for Gaza, to end the genocide that continues under the Labour leadership. The results are in, okay? And what do we know now that we maybe didn't realize, but I think everyone in our party realized, and that is that Keir Starmer's Labour Party's honeymoon period post-election is over.
Very.
Okay?
It's over.
Okay. Since the victory of the Labour Party, their popularity ratings have gone from 72% to 50% on 2nd of September. It is already in the open that promises are only going to get broken, and we're going to have more of the same. First things first, instead of trying to save this country and change this country, what we've seen is the Labour Party wage a war against this country's pensioners, okay? First, the winter fuel allowance. They're stealing from pensioners that have paid tax to make this country what it once was, okay? It's outrageous. Second, while all of this is happening, Keir Starmer has no problem going around and having his wife shopped for clothing and God knows what else, and I don't know if it's for her or for him, but it doesn't really matter, right? Doesn't really matter. But this week alone, I read a headline that the plan to scrap free bus passes from pensioners is not being rejected. So the onslaught and the war against the people of this country continues, okay? So this constituency, which is so close to me and for all of us, because I think probably across Britain, we spend the most time here as a group of people. And I was grateful for all the support that the party gave to try to undermine and to try to save this country from this Labour dominion. I wanted to say that you now are in the most important location in this country right now. You have an opportunity to send a message that is just saying that the party is over before things completely get out of hand, okay? People are struggling in this country. People wanted change in this country. And instead, what they're getting is a war on the pensioners, war on the vulnerable, and vulnerable because people, for example, that are living alone are not going to get potentially their 25% discount on council tax, okay? So it's not just the pensioners that they're going after. And I hear that Keir Starmer says that it's going to be very difficult, but the question is difficult for whom, okay? Certainly not going to be difficult for his 3,000 pound cat and his tens of thousands shopping sprees by donors that go undeclared. It's going to be very difficult for the people of this country. And it is every citizen's responsibility. And I couldn't think of a better candidate to vote for to change, to really drive change and to show Labour that this is not the way. This is not what people voted for. And the only group in this location that can make change is my friend Hoz.
Yeah.
Who actually is, still is one of my favourite candidates. I cannot tell you
Hoz?
how much I appreciate
We're
Son,
sitting
you
here.
got less votes than him. He got a lot more votes than you did, so I'm just going to go with the work rate that he put in. Go independent, you'll be in a sea on your own. Anyway, more importantly, I've got two more people I'd like to speak, if I may. I'd like to invite Steph to come up here for me for a minute to give us a little bit of speech about. He was also my candidate for Lewisham. Then we'll go for Linda. Then I shall take very little of your time, and then our leader George will take over. Right?
Thank you, Harrow Road. Thank you for coming. First of all, I would love to thank my leader, George Galloway, and my mentor, Hoz, for the opportunity. Without them, I wouldn't be here. Harrow Road, it's a blessing to have these guys willing to help us. We are sick and tired of seeing our kids dying on the streets. We are sick and tired of inequality. It's time for a change. Hoz is intelligent, good looking, sorry ladies, he's married, sorry gents also. It's also hard working. Believe me, if there's anyone out there who believes that a multicultural area could strive together, on September 20th, the Workers' Party have the answer for them. Together, on September 19th, let's remember what Mr. George Galloway has done for us, for the Muslim communities, for all the kids in broken homes. It's time to be grateful. Let's get ourselves out there and vote for our brother Hoz. That will be the only way we will be grateful to the Workers' Party. Time for a change. It's the Hoz time, it's the Workers' Party time. See you on September 20th. Thank you.
Linda? So Linda Barnier is standing as a council candidate for us, and she was also my candidate for the Crawley seat in Sussex. She's actually officially the poshest candidate in the whole of our party, and I like to embarrass her as much as I can every day, and I love it. Try and sound. Linda, I want you to try and sound common if you can. Good luck.
Hello, darling. It really is a pleasure to come here. We've come from Crawley, and everybody knows Crawley, of course. They call it creepy Crawley. But it isn't. It's exactly the same as here. Multicultural, very diverse, and it's something we should be celebrating. You can't hear me? Okay. I thought you were asking me for a drink.
Put your microphone. You're not getting posh at all now.
So, I don't see any problems that are different in working communities. What I see is different is the people and how we bring them together. When I started thinking about the Workers' Party and what were we going to do, of course I've known George Galloway and looked at him from when I was a child. That's not true, actually. But I have very fortunately been married to a Palestinian for 40 years, and he passed away recently. And I'm happy that he passed away simply because he would be absolutely devastated with what's going on in Gaza today. To see this genocide is increasingly horrific, and I can't believe it. I mean, when I was talking to my 4 children the other day, we said, when people question us and say, it's unbelievable, when I say, this is happening, and this is happening, the children, the limbs, the amputations, the no medicine, everything, people say, I can't believe that. And you know, it's so unbelievable that we can't believe it either, but it's happening. My husband, my late husband, I was very lucky, he was an ex-ambassador for the PLO. He's related, of course, to Yasser Arafat, which of course you all know, and he never took a penny of salary for his position when we were in West Africa, because like all the Palestinians, like all of us here, we're all Palestinians and we have to fight for this cause. That's the reason I joined the Workers' Party. Party and I fought for the Workers' Party. And then I quite enjoy this. I quite enjoy meeting the people and seeing the people and seeing the other members of the Workers' Party and finding myself with a purpose. I found people that I could relate to, the people that understood me, even though I talk too poshly.
You do.
But I also found my way convincing people that I never thought that I would convince. And then I said, when this particular council position came up, and already our wonderful Labour council left without a word, and these people are going, what's happening? Where is he? We expected at least 6 to 8 months. So I am now going to the people saying, trust me, get to know me, then you can trust me, and then you can vote for me. Because I intend not to be this career politician, but to be a genuine, authentic, outspoken person who clearly has stood for 40 years, even alone at times. I will do that for the Crawley people.
She was quite posh, wasn't she? Go on. Right, I'm just going to.
You're very classy. Thank you.
Right, and I'm just going to make a quick introduction as well. This is Gayatri, which is George Galloway's wife. At the moment, we as a party need to have more women involved in politics in our party. We don't have enough. So I have asked Gayatri if she can to do something about that. And she's promised she's going to lead a initiative to make sure that our party has far more women than it does at the moment. So I'm going to pass the microphone to her very quickly and let her take over and see what she has to say about that.
Good evening, Harrow Road. Everyone is home to me. We used to live in this area, so we feel very comfortable and very happy to be here and to be supporting our brother Hoz in the upcoming by-election. In regards to the women movement within the party, yes, obviously you've just heard from Linda, excellent example. Unfortunately not enough, so I am asking all of my sisters in the hall and beyond that upon the election, God willing, of Hoz this Thursday, we'll get all the ladies out. It's our time, ladies. I can tell you that in February, when George won the seat in Rochdale, we were down to the ladies, the women and the youth made it possible because they saw an avenue, they heard their language, and they saw an avenue of making their voice heard through voting for George. So let's do this. And secondly, I just wanted to remind you all that the only reason that the Workers' Party is here is because we are actually Labour, right? We are totally bad with Labour. That's the long and the short of it. But the Labour Party is no more. It's no more there. So we can't allow Labour Party, New Labour, to continue crimes doing, committing abroad and domestically. So that's why we are here, and that's why we are only, we're a young party. We've only been in existence for 4 years, but we made quite an impact.
Yeah.
political leaders, and the national media here in their very patch. This is the political center of Britain on Thursday. Everybody is waiting for the result of this ward. What do the working people think of the show so far? What do they think of Keir Starmer so far? What do they think of the scandals in which he has left us so far? Well, you have the opportunity to make that declaration on Thursday that we are not impressed and that we are not going to put up with 5 years of this. As my good wife said, this is home to us. We lived in this area for years. I was a school governor in Bevington School. My children attended Bevington School. My wife had a second-hand clothes shop, vintage clothes. That's why I always turned out so well. In Golborne Road, just 5 minutes from here. As Adam said, we spend more time in this area than any other part of London. That tells you that this is a great area to be in. If only the deep-seated problems that we have here have been attended to, will be attended to. We were in Golborne Road not that long ago. It was taped off by the police at the end of the road because someone had shot someone dead in the park. Our children are killing each other. A working class boy on one end of the knife and a working class of the knife. And 2 working class families destroyed by an act of madness, an act of rage, an act of alienation from the community, from the society. Our young people have lost their way, their ideology, lost their direction. Only thing that matters is me and now. That's the only thing that matters to the young on the street. What can I get now, right now? They have no hope. They have no support. They have no youth services. Nobody in government cares about them. They're regarded as waste, human waste, that can be left to fester, except when they erupt and commit crimes. And by the way, that speaker earlier who said that they couldn't see a police officer anywhere here. If you are the victim of a crime in this area, and we have been, that's why I'm wearing a hat.
Yeah.
I've been a victim of crime in this area. You'll be bloody lucky if the police even show up. Never mind show up in time to catch the culprit, to catch the criminal. We are in what should be one of the most wonderful parts of one of the most wonderful cities in the whole world, but we don't feel like that. And we are filled with trepidation as to the future. And my goodness, so far, 60 days, it has proved a trepidation entirely worthy. I had no illusions about Keir Starmer. I watched how he stabbed in the back Jeremy Corbyn. More fool him who had promoted him and then promoted him again. Rolled out a red carpet for him. Starmer wasn't even in Parliament 1 year when he resigned from Corbyn's front bench in a coordinated coup to get rid of Corbyn. I had no illusions about this man as a betrayer. I watched how he sought to betray the result of the referendum on the European Union. How he, like some slippery snake, again and again if necessary, until they changed their minds. I knew that this man was no good, and now you know it also. People say that millions, 9 millions voted for him. By the way, that's a very, very low vote. 9 millions. Harold Wilson used to get 12, 13 million. Jeremy Corbyn got the biggest increase in the Labour vote since 1945. Starmer burned it, and burned it still in the last 60 days. Only 19% of the British people voted for Keir Starmer to be Prime Minister. Only 34% of those who voted for Keir Starmer. He's a minority dictator when he doesn't have even remotely half of the people of this country behind him. He's the Prime Minister because Rishi Sunak isn't. Because people decided that they wanted a taller guy rather than the midget that was Rishi Sunak. That's about as meaningful as the vote that he received was. But instead of acting like a guy with something to prove, Starmer is acting like you've got something to prove to him, that you owe him rather than he owes you. How else can you explain it? I asked on my show last night, what kind of man allows another man to buy clothes for his wife? Underwear, not just clothes. What sort of man is that? It's a mixed company. I don't want to go too deep into it. I'm hoping the clothes were for his wife, by the way. And not for somebody else's wife, or even for himself. But on the face, a Bangladeshi billionaire, friend of Peter Mandelson, if you get my drift, who was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, and is a friend of Tony Blair, and is the advisor to Keir Starmer. You getting the picture yet?
I got your drift, John.
That's what. I'm a size 12. I think. Or I will be in a few months. If I can stay off the cannolis. This is a clique of the worst people in Britain. In parenthesis, Hugh Edwards, whom we paid £500,000 a year to, right up until the day of his trial, the man who paid a paedophile thousands of pounds for access to depraved pictures of children being sexually raped. A 7-year-old child being raped. The British establishment, thousands for access to those pictures. The Queen's death was announced by that man. The British establishment are a depraved, degenerate, blood-sucking group of criminals. And they are in charge of our country. What kind of man, as I say? Well, this kind of man. A man that will steal money from old age pensioners who campaigned in a general election 60 days ago, telling pensioners if the Tories get back, they'll take away your cold weather allowance. He's on video. His lips are moving. If the Tories get back, they'll take the pensioners' allowance. And as soon as he got in, he took the pensioners' allowance. That kind of man. And not just the pensioners. He even lied in the announcement. Disabled people. 1.7 million of our disabled people were also getting that cold weather allowance. They've had it taken away from them too. And you're right, the bus pass for pensioners will be the next thing to go. By the way, I'm an old age pensioner myself, but don't tell the wife. She thinks I'm 45. 44. What kind of man does that? What kind of man, having railed against the Tory two-child cap on child benefit, talks about the 4 million children in this country that go to bed hungry. Hungry! Millions who go to school without a breakfast and they're expected to learn in the classroom whilst hungry. He said that too didn't just seem cruel. It was demographically foolish. We don't have enough children in this country. The same people that cheered on the cap on child benefit are the people that don't want immigrants. Well, if you don't have children and you don't have immigrants, who's going to wipe your ass when you're 85? Who's going to want to pay the tax to keep your... There'll be nobody paying tax at this rate in a declining birth rate. We need more children, not fewer. And so, to cap child, cruel to child number 3. They didn't ask to be child number 3, but they were born into a poor family, and the state will not support them, not one penny. What kind of man does that? What kind of man goes the next day, the announcement of the withdrawal of the pensioners' heating allowance, the next day, David Lammy, my God, we've had some foreign secretaries, but David Lammy, the Eddie Amin of British politics, Lammy went to Kiev and handed over another 600 million pounds of your money to keep the war going, bringing to 13 billion that we have given to the war in Ukraine. You want to put that in perspective? Withdrawing the cold weather payments saved 1 billion. Of course, it doesn't save it because a lot of these old people are going to get sick and finish up in the hospital unless they kill them. I see today in the papers they're going to rush through legislation for what they call assisted dying, late stage capitalism. Anyone? Your old mother, my mother's 90 years old almost. How long before the nudge and the wink and the encouragement? You don't want to be a burden, dear, do you? We've got this assisted dying law now, you know. Why don't you shuffle on? leave your house to your kids, and be a blessed memory. That's the game they're in. They don't care if these pensioners end up dead. In fact, they have officially calculated that 4,000 of them are going to die as a result of the withdrawal of this allowance. 4,000 grannies. You want to kill them to save $1 billion when you gave 13 billion to a war in a country we know nothing about. None of you know the names of these towns that our money is going to perpetuate the war in. In fact, we've promised Zelensky £3 billion a year forever. That's the words they used, forever. And it's $1 billion to keep the pensioners warm in the winter time. Now they are forced to choose between heating or eating. You decide. I met a man in the audience tonight telling me about people who intend to hang around in shopping malls, hang around in public places, because they will not be able to heat their homes. What kind of man does that? I'll tell you what kind of man. A man who says that Israel has the right to starve Palestinian children to death. He said it on television.
Shame.
He was asked by Nick Ferrari, does Israel have the right to withhold water, electricity, food, medicine? He answered, he'll never be able to get away from this. He answered, I think Israel has that right. That's what kind of man he is.
Shame on him.
The C's, a KC, a KFC. His degrees from KFC, it must be. How could a lawyer think that was legal to withdraw food and medicine from children in a concentration camp? How could any lawyer think that that was legal? But he said it was legal.
Shame.
What kind of man continues to supply weapons to Netanyahu when half the Israelis are on the street trying to get rid of him? Starmer is fully behind him. That's the kind of man.
He's a lapdog.
And this is all in 60 days. The reason I'm wearing makeup is I've just been on the television. I was interviewing a young South African. I was telling him about the time when I was there in the room when Margaret Thatcher called Nelson Mandela a common terrorist. The young man said there's a difference between then and now. Then, people like Thatcher thought that Mandela was a terrorist, but the Labour Party was in support of Nelson Mandela. Now, it's the Labour Party that's on the side of apartheid. It's the Labour Party that's supporting the criminal Netanyahu. That is, if you think about it, quite a big change. In the 1980s, 70s, although they didn't do much about it, Labour would ordinarily be against apartheid. It was the Tories that were in favour of it. Now it's the Labour Party that is witch hunting their own members, expelled their own leader, Corbyn. We come in. My good wife said it best. This is why she's my wife. We are what Labour was supposed to be. We are what Labour under Tony Benn was. I looked the other day because someone sent it to me, a BBC interview I did on the death of Mr. Ben. And every word I said then I could repeat now. What Ben stood for is what we stand for. But the Labour Party no longer stands for that. So we are carrying his memory, his banner. Nothing extreme about that, is there? We're not Marxists or Leninists or Stalinists or any of these things. We are Benists. We support the Tory Ben Labour Party. Isn't there a need for that? Isn't there a space for that in British politics? Is politics the two cheeks of the same arse? Of Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, really? Tweedledee, Tweedledum? Is that all there is? Is that the best there is? Cannot be. Cannot be, because that doesn't help you. You will gain nothing from these two parties, these two cheeks of the same backside. They'll do nothing for you. You don't matter to them. They are bought and paid for, just like the Democrats and the Republicans in the United States. Two cheeks of the same backside. They're all shit, and there's nothing in it for you. But the good news is, you've got the chance to do something about it. And the revolution does start here. Yes. The fight back does start here. Imagine, in this little blessed quarter, you are the center of the political universe. On Thursday, you have a chance to make history. And the good news further is, the Labour Party conference starts the next day. Imagine how they'll feel going into their conference to clap like seals for Keir Starmer. Imagine how they'll feel if the night before the people of the Harrow Road ward sent them this powerful message by electing this powerful man as councillor for the Harrow Road ward. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I would like to open the floor up to any questions that people have for George or myself. If you just like to put your hand up, and if you can, basically, I'll pass the microphone with this on to you to ask you questions, and then George and I will hopefully answer your questions. So if you go there first, and then there, then there, please. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Mr. Galloway. My name is Sajjad Al-Hayri. Quick question. Why did you meet with Saddam Hussein? And can we not vote for the Green Party because they believe in the same thing to stop the genocide in Gaza? They came second in the national elections. And I voted Workers' Party in the last election. But I'm just wanting to compare who's best.
Well, I'm happy to.
Let's get a mic, please.
I'm happy to talk about Saddam Hussein. And your question doesn't have the same sting that it might have 20 years ago. I met Saddam Hussein to try and stop the Iraq war. Is anyone alive that thinks that stopping the Iraq war was not a good idea? Is there anybody who thinks the Iraq war was a good idea? No. I infer from your question that you are one of what must be the smallest group in British politics. Those who think that the Iraq war was the right thing to do. I tried to stop it, and I would do it again. I would do it again. The Green Party supports NATO, supports Israel's right to exist, unquote. The Green Party supports a two-state solution in the area. I believe in a free Palestine from the river to the sea. These are three important differences. And there's a fourth one. I'm the leader of the Workers' Party. Who's the leader of the Green Party? Ever heard of them? Anyone think that anyone's afraid of the leader of the Green Party? I promise you the establishment's afraid of me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't rap that.
No, it's for the first. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No worries. Go ahead.
My name's in the Harrow Road area for most of my life. And the other day I was walking up Harrow Road. I saw one guy on one side of the street screaming and shouting at himself. I don't know what he was on. There was another guy on the opposite side. And now some guy has pitched up his tent outside Co-op and is literally living there and has been for a couple of months. And I just don't understand how the hell that even happens. And also another thing that we need to understand as well is the thing with Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer is that they're both members of the World Economic Forum, and that is the reason why they are two chiefs of the same bum. And we have to remember that is their puppet master. So I'll put it.
All I can say is that we have in Harrow Road Ward the highest incident in the country of people who are on disability benefits. We have up to 49 or 48% of this ward are on that disability benefit. So that means that those kind of incidents are going to be quite rife. The fact that we've got homeless people that are having to sleep in tents is the thing that I think is the shame.
But it's here, like
Yes,
it's not.
it's everywhere in London.
It's like literally on the street.
I know.
The guy's got his trainers, like all neat, his stuff all neat. Like that is now his home.
I've seen that guy, and I feel sorry for him, and I'd like us as a council to be able to help people like that. And to be honest with you, our party is the only party that has got written directly in our 10-point plan a policy where we're going to try and help give free laundries for people like that, so they can wash their clothes, so they can have some dignity, so that at least if we were in power, we'd be looking to support those people. And also, we have a veterans program as well, because the majority of the homeless people in our country are homeless people who are served this country and have fought on the front lines for us. And then when they come back here, they suffer from PTSD. They suffer from all sorts of problems. And those problems actually cause them to stop being in a relationship, in a marriage. They end up in... They're still my brethren, you know? And I'd like to be able to help them. I'm not happy about the policy of the country or the council, and I'd like to do something about homelessness as well. So it's a matter of, working out how we can best help those people and give them the dignity. I think Lynn, my partner, and I have always tried to talk to those people, ask them their first name, have a conversation with them, and turn around and say, well, I'm a bit better off than you are, so I'm going to get them a fish and chips, and I'll pay for that. It doesn't bother me, because if I've got money in my pocket and I can stop someone being hungry, that's what I think I should do. Yeah? So that's how I feel about that homeless guy.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's not that I'm.
I know what you're saying. I get it.
Shouldn't be getting to that point.
Exactly. Hassan, can you give the microphone over there? All right. Okay, we should have it.
Hi, George. Hi, George.
Hi.
First of all, thank you so much for coming to our community. We appreciate that. I'm a member of the WECH Housing Association, which the tenants seceded from Westminster Council and became self-managing, and they've done a brilliant job of regulating their government. I read a report about 2 years ago released under the American Freedom of Information Act that said America, since the year 2000, this was three years ago, had dropped more than 250,000 bombs and missiles on the world, including 150,000 on Syria and Iraq. Can you imagine 75,000 bombs dropped on Britain? It's disgraceful. What I would like to see from our candidate is not only reintroduction of good social services, nationalisation of the industries that we once used to own, less people who have mental problems put out on the street and left to be homeless, and how learning benevolent technology for the benefit of all mankind, and how we oppose Agenda 21, the WEF agenda, which is to lower the world's population to 1.9 billion and put us all in smart cities. How do we get back to that state of kindness? And I think that we can only do it by building a basic community-based movement, and Hoz is our representative that might do that. But you are the leader that is going to tell the truth. And if I ask Hoz for any one thing, it's to tell us the truth. Yeah.
Well, that's a magnificent question and answer. You answered it yourself. That's exactly what we need. And if I may, you'd be an excellent candidate for the Workers' Party also. And there will be other elections, even in this area. That was beautifully expressed. The way we were, I don't know if anyone remembers that movie, but I love the title, The Way We Were. I now realize that I lived in a golden era in Britain, which has been lost. I was born in 1954. I lived in a slum, officially in an attic with an outside toilet, shared with 5 other families. And the slum was cleared. I was given a brand new, spanking new council house. My father worked in a factory, sent there by the government, under government direction. At the top of the road, I went to a school. At the road, I went to a clinic once a week. I got free orange juice, malt to build me up. I'll stop taking that now. It was a golden age in which you could go to university free of charge. I never did. I worked to send other people to university, who then got into Parliament and kicked that ladder away, the one that they climbed up on, and made it tuition fees, which have gone up and up and up and up. That golden age from 1945, 1950s, ended with the advent of Thatcherism in 1960. Tents outside Tesco, screaming in your guy sitting on the street corner, screamed an unmentionable, unconscionable obscenity at me. And clearly, he was mentally ill. When I was young, you never saw that kind of thing. You never saw drugs. I still haven't seen a drug. People talk about drugs. I don't know what they look like. in the era in which I grew up, there were policemen on the street, in twos, on the beat, not going behind a flashing car to respond to an emergency that's already happened, but to intervene when they saw things that might develop into things that would be crime and danger. That period lasted a very short time in our history. So the time I'm describing is so different from the time my grandparents grew up, with no national health service, no automatic right to free school, never mind university. No working class people went to university in those days. But our grandchildren are going to grow up in a Britain in many ways just as bad as the era in which my grandparents grew up. So we're in a big hole in this country. They talk about the black hole in the accounts that they miraculously discovered, like they didn't know the state of the country's finances when they were running in the election. But our country's in danger of disappearing, breaking up. You know, I'm one of these Scottish people that wants to keep the country together. I'm against separatism. But the way things are going, there's going to be separatism in Scotland and Wales. And then there will be nothing called Britain. Then England will stand on its own. And that's not a good thing. No good can come of that. And inside our own country, we're going to have racial and religious strife. There are too many people in this country who, instead of blaming the billionaires and the Blairs, are blaming Abdul, who runs a shop on the corner, or blaming the black guy sat on his stoop. The potential for Britain to actually disintegrate is real. And we in the Workers' Party, we believe in Britain. We make no bones about that. We think the British are a great people and can do great things again. Yesterday was the Battle of Britain Day. I'm sorry to sound like an old fogey, but if it was not for the Battle of Britain, I'd be speaking to you tonight in German. Except I wouldn't be speaking to you at all, because there would be no elections. And I'd long ago have ended up in a concentration camp, like many of the people in this room. We did a great thing. Churchill was right about that, if nothing else. That was our finest hour. And we did it together. We pulled together. And we can do it again, and if we don't, we're in really big trouble.
Can I ask if we can we get 3 questions together instead of just one, so we can go from one to the next to the next? So other people have got, may want to have their hand up. So we've got 1 question from you, 2 more questions. If anybody else has got a question, put your hand up. It's you, and at the back. Okay, any more? Right, let's go with your question for now. We'll go with 2 for now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. On a light-hearted note, I just observed something which I would like to share. The reason that respected George Galloway looked up to you is because he doesn't look down on people. No matter what you are, he always look up to you. Number 1. Number 2, I would like to mention that I have requested Mr. Galloway to grant me a little time after he has finished with everything, and I hope that is the case, and I would love to speak to him later. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Take the microphone.
Oh, sorry, I forgot just one thing. Sorry, I forgot something. My back is itching. Can somebody tell me if there's an insect or something like that?
For those of you that can't see it, it says on his back, "Arrest Netanyahu." That's why.
Good evening. We have Keir Stormtroopers, Blairite Labour in name only party in power. It gave us the most war criminal and Islamophobic government in living memory in this country, the hard right Blairite government that couldn't tell enough lies and find enough excuses to victimise Muslim people, start bombing Baghdad, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. Wasn't it naive of anybody to think that Stormtrooper and his Blairite Labour in name only party would object to Netanyahu doing the same sort of Islamophobic war criminality that they were doing 20 years ago? And if the answer to that question is glaringly obvious, then I'll ask just one more. All of my Jewish friends, who Netanyahu and the Board of Deputies pretends to represent, are totally disgusted at the way Israel is behaving in their name. They are ashamed. They are so ashamed they go on protest supporting Palestinian nationalism. They are that ashamed. Not all my white English friends do that, but my Jewish friends do. Not even all my Muslim friends do. To cap it all, even a man called Nick Griffin never pretended to be a friend of Muslims, never pretended to welcome Muslims in this country or want them here. Even he was outraged and disgusted by what the Zionists are doing in Gaza. Even he agrees that they've gone too far. So my question is, what does it take for a man like Starmer to have some kind of humanity? Do these chairs in this room have to rise up and march on Downing Street and tell Starmer this murder and genocide is wrong before he gets the message?
Yeah, well, I think that yes, of course, to the gentleman at the front, I'll be happy to talk to you briefly after the meeting. What would it take? I don't think that Keir Starmer is able to change course. He pledged his allegiance to Israel, as so many Labour people have done over generations, actually. And he did it for a mixture of ideological reasons, not liking Arabs very much, not liking Muslims very much, guilt about the Western role in turning away the Jews who wanted to flee from Hitler's Holocaust, and much more base reasons than that. Israel and its supporters have performed a kind of state capture in Britain and in the United States and in some other countries. They have judiciously used money and compromat, as the Russians put it. That's what the Epstein operation was all about. Bring Western politicians in, let them commit heinous acts, video them, and then they're yours for life. If they give you a brown envelope that you didn't declare, you're theirs for life, because they can announce at any time and have the photographs, no doubt, to prove it, that they corrupted you, and you're theirs for life. And I think it's a mixture of these things that has led to a situation where both the Labour Party and the Democrats in the US and the Labour equivalent SPD in Germany and the Labour equivalent SP in France are all completely behind Netanyahu, even, as I said, when half of Israel is on the streets of Tel Aviv trying to get him out. The Israeli press denounces Netanyahu daily. But if you denounced Netanyahu, you'd have the police at your door. I do so because they don't really yet have the nerve to come to my door, but they've come to many other people's doors, respected journalists, former ambassadors, and so on. But in Israel, it's routine to call Netanyahu a criminal. But if you called him a criminal here, you'd be in trouble with the police. That's the state capture that I'm talking about. And how we break that? Well, of course we have to march. Of course we have to protest. Of course we have to boycott. I must say this, I've said it many times, but you'll understand why. Our 7-year-old daughter was at a birthday party just a couple of weeks ago, and the people, the mother and father of the girl whose birthday it was, called us to say she had a problem because they wanted to take all the children after the party to McDonald's. But our daughter was refusing to go to McDonald's. She refused to go to McDonald's, although she loves a Happy Meal like anybody else. She refused to go. Why? Because McDonald's are hurting the children in Gaza. That's what she said. What it was. Age 7 years old. We all have to do that, you know. Starting with our own families, our own friends, workmates, parishioners, congregations, neighbors, in concentric circles. We all have to do that. It's our duty to do that. But we've also got to vote. If you vote in a party on Thursday that is a part of this great crime, what will that say about you? I'm a religious believer. I believe in the judgment day. I believe I'll be asked, not what you did, but what I did. What I did and what I didn't do when I was tested. I think I'll be able to answer that I did everything that I could. We all have to be able to say that, if we are believers. We all have to be able to say, we did everything that we could, and that includes not rewarding genocide. I'll tell you a second thing. If you elect whoever this Labour candidate is, I've never seen them, heard of them, heard from them. Neither of you, and neither will you. If Labour win this seat on Thursday, nobody will notice. Nothing will change. Everything will remain the same. That's what we've got to think of.
I would like to just bring this meeting to an end because I think it's near enough 9 o'clock, but I have got a few things that I wanted to say to the locals in the area. And you all know that there was a shooting that took place about 9 days ago on Ravenswood Road, which is just outside of Harrow Road. There's a proper postcode war that's taking place at the moment between the Mozart estate and the people in Kilburn. And I have made it a pledge of mine that I shall make the best effort possible to try and bring peace between these two estates. My first email, should I be voted in, will be sent to the police. And what I want is community leaders to come forward and meet me, not this, the 21st of September, because I've got to be at national committee meeting for my party, but the 27th or the 28th, Saturday, I would love to have people here come along and take part with me in a head-to-head conversation in a circle and say, what can we do to help? And the first email, I promise you, will be going to the Metropolitan Police and asking them how can I, as the councillor for this ward, help bring about the violence that's happening down to a level where it doesn't make people like a friend of mine called Nate. He's a 40-year-old black man, right? He looks like a proper geezer. When his mother is telling him, Nate, I don't want you to go to the road after 9 o'clock. I want you home. And he's a big businessman, grown up. He ain't a kid. He's a 40-year-old, knows the world and knows what's around him. But his mum is that worried about him that she's saying, please, son, I beg of you, don't be in the streets after 9 o'clock. Because you could be the next guy that's going to get shot because you were seen talking to someone that potentially could be a target of Mozart or Gilbert. And you have nothing to do with nothing. And yet, you're going to get targeted because you didn't know that that person's involved in X, Y, and Z. So, please, get me elected and see what happens. But I really want the first meeting we have here, which will be the 28th, I believe, yeah? I want as many people in here as possible. I'm hiring this hall out, and I want people to come along and I want the community here. Yeah.
What time?
11 o'clock, Saturday, yeah? I am hiring this hall, and so long as the WECH community tell me it doesn't conflict with anything, I will definitely be holding my first surgery here, and the first thing we're going to talk about is what we can do about stopping Westminster being the stabbing capital of London and the shooting capital of London. We are the highest, we are literally the highest, what's it called, number of shootings and stabbings in the whole of London. London, in combination with Croydon, Lewisham and everywhere else, between like the top 10, we outmass every other city in London, in the country. We are literally the worst one. So if I can help start that with you, I think that will be the most noble thing I can do to bring about peace to our streets. Because, as George has said before, and I'm going to repeat, when one family member shoots someone and kills them, that's two poor families done. One family's going to be taking that kid to the grave. The other one is going to be taking that kid to prison, and his life is gone. The two poor families suffer the consequences, and there really is no need for it. Okay, so please put the message out there. First thing on the agenda for us as Harrow Road Ward is get together and let's have this conversation, have the police involved, and let's get this thing done. Okay? Thank you very much.
Just before you guys disperse, it is obvious, but I just want to put it out there. Obviously, your vote counts. It's your vote that on that day or the day before, whatever you guys go out there to vote, it counts. But hopefully, I'm sincerely convinced that you're still here listening to everybody. You can genuinely put your efforts in and help this man come into office, not just by your own vote, but please use your social media handles. Speak to your neighbors, your friends, your families, your brothers and sisters, on your Twitter handle, your Insta, your Facebook, whatever it is you have. This is your own contribution and your own effort to bring this gentleman into office. And I would like to thank you to please put all your effort in, not just the physical vote, but please spread the word. It will really help.
Bravo. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.
See you Thursday.
If anyone's got any questions about Lord of the Rings or anything, I can help out with those as well. Okay? Anyone? No? You two okay? Lovely, gentlemen. There's two ladies over there. When I met them, I said a joke about Aragorn, and they said you had me at Aragorn. So that's what it was. Lovely seeing you both.
Sorry, here's a...
Yeah.
It's a good question. For anyone who's interested, how do they sign on as members to the party? For anyone who's interested, how do they become members of the party?
Well, we've had an extraordinary meeting here today in the WECH Community Centre in the Harrow Road ward, where on Thursday there will be a local government by-election that we are determined to win. Our candidate, Hoz Shafiei, is going to be a very significant figure in this country, in my opinion. And it turns out that this little ward is the centre of the British political universe on Thursday, because the very next day, Labour begin their annual conference. We want to send them into that with the votes of the Harrow Road ward ringing in their ears that people are not impressed by the first 60 days of Keir Starmer's so-called Labour government. So we're going to work for the people here locally. We're working to change our situation nationally, and of course, we are working for peace and justice in the world, particularly in Gaza. Okay? Thank you all for coming.